EntrepreNINES, everyone. I'm John Wist.
And I'm Bonni Mace. We are two Enneagram 9s who took the big leap into the world of entrepreneurship at a similar time, and this podcast is a space where we are inviting you to laugh and learn with us as we work to build businesses with soul. This is episode 14, which is exciting.
And we are recording virtually because the episode comes out tomorrow.
Yeah. We were just saying this is the closest we've cut it recording to release ever.
Yes.
And there are a few factors that have influenced that for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a busy end to our summers collectively. So it's okay.
Yeah. I mean, usually our families hang out together multiple times a week. And in August, we genuinely went like 20 days.
I was going to say almost the whole month. Yeah.
Almost the whole month without even seeing each other because our vacations were opposite of each other.
Yeah.
And then my family got the vid when school started.
And it's just been a thing. So,
yeah. Here
we are, day before release, and we will get back on track. But hey, it's been a good 6-month run of not doing this to ourselves. So good job.
Yeah, we'll get back ahead. You know what?
Yeah.
Summer with school children age, I just think this is what we're in for.
Yeah. Because we recorded most of the summer content before school let out. So that was crucial.
I think Nikki's was the only one we did after the kids were out of school.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Behind the scenes look.
There you go. So
that's not what we're talking about today, though.
No. So today
is John's birthday.
Oh my gosh, that was so loud.
I'm sorry. I just needed to interrupt that and not tell you that I was going to do that because we're releasing this podcast on John's birthday. So, send him a message when you listen to this, even if it's after the fact. Okay, now what were you going to really say?
Today is my birthday. That was so loud. That will be so interesting to see when I go to edit it, if we can actually use it. But no, it is my birthday. And it is also, we have just passed my 1-year anniversary of being in business, and we're approaching Bonnie's 1-year anniversary of being in business. And so we thought, it's my birthday. We're having company birthdays. Let's just reflect on 1 year of birthdayness. So, so we're just going to kind of look back over the past year, talk about some of the things that we've learned and ways that we've grown and things that maybe we still don't know and, stuff like that, just to be, real about kind of where we are in our journeys right now. So that's today. 1 year.
Today. Yeah. Okay, John, since it's your birthday, you get to go first.
Okay. All right, cool. So I would say for my first one would be that I think I see a lot, and I see this actually. I had a lunch a couple days ago with some guys who own their own video production companies in Baltimore, and I was reassured in a lot of ways. And one of the ways I was reassured was just by starting the business, just having the idea, feeling the prompting and the moving to do it, and then actually doing it. Because one of the other guys was sitting there saying he's been in business for 20 years, but he's only been full time for 3. And basically COVID is what just propelled him into full-time business ownership. And so they were both very encouraging of just jumping in, and that this was not only a really good time to do it, but just having the courage to do it, to make the decision, to go for it and make it happen. And so I'm just reminded, that a year ago, I was not jumping all the way in yet. The business was starting, but I was not jumping all the way in yet. But that just being reminded of kind of all the little things that happened along the way to starting it, but then also recognizing when there just came a point where I needed to go all in or I needed to just completely stop. And so I think going all in was a great choice, and I'm, glad I'm doing it. Even though we'll talk some more about some of the things that maybe aren't so fun about it. Yeah, I just was reminded recently of the fact that like it takes courage to do. It is a big leap, but if you are confident in what you're getting yourself into, chances are you just kind of need to do it.
Did it feel like an easy decision when you think back to like the point in the road when you were like, okay, I cannot do both of these things I'm doing now. It is either this road or this road. How's that feeling?
No, that was probably the hardest part of it. Like I would say like the prompting, the leading to start a business was easy to hear and easy to understand. And even the conversations of processing that with bosses and things, and like basically saying like, I'm going to be phasing out. I don't know what that looks like. Like all of that was actually kind of easy because it felt right. I think the timing of the actual fully jumping out was hard because it was a line in the sand. Like it was the point of no return, I guess, in some ways. Like I'm officially declaring like this is it and I'm moving on. And I think that felt hard, and it has felt hard for every transition, like job transition I've had. It's not just this. So I think that's just one of the things in job transitions that if you're in a good place and you love the people you work with and you love the things you do, then it is a hard jump to make it, to have it fully be cut off.
That's good.
So
thanks for that.
That's a good question. Yeah.
Yeah. I was listening to, it made me think of that question because I listened to Emily Freeman's podcast the other day, and she was talking about how even a 51-49 is still a decision. Like 51% sure, 49% unsure. That's still a decision. Yeah. Like we always think it's going to be 100%, but it's not. So I was curious about that with you, how clear it felt. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So go ahead.
It's a good question. I would, if I'm going to give it a percentage, I would still say I was like 75% sure that it was the right time. But probably a lot of that also comes just from my personality of not wanting to like disappoint or ruffle feathers or things like that too. So
yeah, feel ya.
Yeah.
9s in our people pleasing.
Yep.
Yay. We could do differently. Okay, what's one I have?
What you got?
One that I have that's okay. So I'll start with this one because it's kind of similar to like getting started. One thing I've really learned is that going from a very collaborative business environment to solopreneurship is disorienting and difficult.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
I feel that.
Yeah. But it's also something, it's like you have to almost completely relearn how to work, because when you go from working with a team, like you can do your task and you know how to work on your own, but there's still so much collaboration and like checking in with your supervisor or checking with a teammate or handing something off or checks and balances. And then to jump from that to just solopreneuring, like you're posting Instagram content with typos and like hoping for the best. Like I'm going to send this email and I hope it doesn't make me look like I'm losing my mind, but I don't have anybody to check this. And it's like a temporary thing, one day I want to have somebody, to come to help with that, but that's just not where I am in the season. So having to give myself the grace of, you were used to this environment and now you are in this environment, and that is challenging in its own right. Like, yeah. I feel that most on those days where like I'll walk into my office and open my computer and go,
what am I supposed to be doing today? like
T-shirts, can you help me out? Like, what's my assignment today?
Yeah, exactly. Like I think that not having that like phone a friend or walk down the hall to somebody to say like, to remind you of just like, there are things that are happening that you could be doing or that you could be productive on, is really hard. And I like, it's not like there's nothing to do. It's just those days when you walk in and mentally you're just not, it's almost like your brain isn't prepared to advance on anything. And so you just kind of sit there for a little bit and are just like, yeah, what do I do today?
There were so many times that when John and I worked together at the church we worked at, that I would literally walk in his office and he had this little couch in there for video shoots. And I would genuinely just flop on his couch and be like, I have the worst case of creativity block right now. And it sucks. And he would just turn his little chair around and say, let's talk about what you're trying to do. And it's so different to be like, well, I have a couch in my office, but if I flop there right now, it's going to be me talking to the ceiling. And that just hits different. And so I'm learning, like, in trying to establish, you know, like, I'll still send you a text occasionally and you do the same thing, but it is definitely different than, the walk down the hallway.
Yeah. And actually, as you talk about that, it's like one of the hardest parts, I think, in that is like, we also have to be confident, though, in what we are presenting to the people we're working with as clients. And so, like, I have to have some form of like fleshed out creative idea to like present before them to like help them understand that I know what I'm doing. And sometimes like it's just not there, or it's just not readily coming, and to not have somebody there to do what you said, you know, like you said, like just sit down and have a chat about it with, it can be difficult. So,
so what we've learned is we both probably need to text for brainstorm creativity occasionally. That's okay. And everybody needs that. And I think that is part of doing your own business is working out those new networks, because it's not built in. Like, that's another thing you have to build. Not only are you building your business, you're building up your network of, you know, who can I trust with my
support system and
little fragile little creative darlings, like bean sprouts that can be crushed so easily. Like, you can't just invite anyone to see that. So.
This is going to be another one of those podcast titles that has like it's going to have like bean sprouts in it.
Bean sprout darlings.
Yeah, bean sprout darlings. Oh gosh. Yeah. No, that's really good though. I like that one.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
What else you got, John?
So I'm not going to lie. I'm drawing a blank on what I said for my second one, but I'm going to jump to my third one then, because
okay.
At least I remember what it is. So I would say it goes back to one of the very first podcasts that we did, which was on kind of how we formed our businesses. And it turned into a lot of talk about values and how, you know, the values that we built our businesses upon. And I think I've just been reminded a lot over the past year that was a really good exercise for me to do long before I even started my business, was to write down the values and the kind of the boundaries and the scope that I wanted my business to include, and to build a lot of my language and my approach to people and processes and things like that around those values and those boundaries, and then keep reminding myself over and over again about it every time I have an opportunity for a job. And to say, like, does this fit within my values, fit within the boundaries that I've defined for myself? And if it doesn't, that's okay. And it's okay to say no. And if it does, then great. But is it still a good fit, you know, on a personality level, on a, you know, kind of an interactivity level? Like, there's all those questions too. And so I think that, you know, even before starting the business, writing down those values, writing down those things that I really want to be a part of the business, and then making that front and center with every decision, every person that comes along, making sure that they align with that, fall within that, because some of the things that I probably did early on that were opportunities presented to me, I probably convinced myself a little bit more that they fell within it than they actually did. And so going back and looking at that now, it's like, okay, that was an opportunity for me to grow and say that actually doesn't fit within those boundaries. As presented, maybe, like there could be opportunities still with that person, but maybe what's being presented doesn't fall within that. And so, just kind of being cognizant and reminding myself of, I have values, I have a purpose. I, created this in a certain way for a certain reason. And I'm allowed to stick to that. I think is just something that I'm going to have to continue to remind myself of as time goes on, because it's tempting to just have work.
Paychecks feel like paychecks. Yeah.
Money is money. So it's tempting, but I think ultimately having those guardrails, is important and will remain important. So
yeah, I agree. And I think it's so easy to like skip that step in the setup and to just think like, oh, well, I'll figure it out along the way, blah, blah, blah. But it's better to have it up front and to take the time to be self-aware enough up front to say like, what is it that I want my company and values to be? Because when you live outside of your values is when you start to experience a lot of like stress and discomfort and a lot of like burnout. I was thinking of one of the jobs that you did take and how towards the end of that contract, you were like, oh my gosh, I have to go back and do one more thing because it was outside of your value set. And like, it's fine that you took it. You were good at it. It did earn the money, but it took so much more out of you in that scenario. Yeah. And so taking the time to really define your values, I think is, I don't know. I don't see that like preached too much for beginning entrepreneurs. Like I see it in big organizations that have teams. And I see it like couched in like team management language and things like that a lot. But I think it's also important for even people who are in like the beginning individual phase too. So
yeah. And I think some of that is just, it does feel, I think at the beginning, like I just need to make money, and I or I just need to have experience. I need like in my case, like I need to have a demo reel. I need to have experience in this area, so that I can prove to everybody I know what I'm doing. And so sometimes people just say like, go do whatever you can to get those things. And then you can figure out what you really want to do. And I think, I think that for me, nobody told me to go write those values, but I was dreaming about a business and it was like, well, what does that mean? Like, I don't even know what that means. Like I can have a dream, but like what is in here that I need to get on paper that helps me define this? And so what came from that just happened to be those values and those boundaries and some of the language I wanted to incorporate. And I think that the nice thing was I was already in a position to be connected to people that already lived within those same value and boundary sets. And so that was helpful. But as you expand and as you try to grow, those networks also grow, like we were just talking about, and they grow into places that you aren't as familiar or comfortable with. And so just coming back to those things to not get lost feels right. So
that's good. John, can I let you in on a secret? It's a little self-promoting.
Okay. I'm ready. I'm ready for it.
One of my new coaching offerings is going to be naming your values and helping people to do that, whether personal or business, because of all of what you're saying right there.
That's great.
All jazzed up. And I could talk about it for the rest of the podcast because I think it's very helpful for us to have that stuff in line. So,
well, then it sounds like we need to do a podcast about it.
It's going to be great. Anyway, I'm excited to release that one day when I slowly get my website up to speed. But
Yeah.
I think it's so important because I
That
think
sounds great.
people probably burn out in their first year of entrepreneurship because they spend a lot of time stepping outside of the values they haven't identified. You have them.
Yep.
You just need to name them first, right? So.
And I like your connection to burnout too, by the way. I think that that's a great connection to make, that like when you don't have those things lined up, you risk really hurting yourself in the long run. So.
Oh my goodness, especially for us nines too, because we are people pleasy, right?
Yeah.
And like we are wishy-washy on what we want for ourselves, so we can just like spin out for other people. Or even other people being like, this is going to be a great opportunity for you, but you're like, I don't know. Like for me, a lot of people are like, well, you could totally, make logos on the side and make money. And I'm like, that makes me want to die on the inside right now. But my compulsion is to be like, you're right. You want a logo. I'll let you pay me for it. But that's not the case. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
What else you got, Bonnie? Yeah.
What else do I have? I mean, along that line, for me, value related is taking it to the next step that I can define success for my lifestyle business right now. So there's a popular business coach. She targets women more often. Her name's Allie Worthington, and a lot of her free business coaching stuff that like initial articles will talk about. If you want to start a business, there's 2 ways you can do it. There's a lifestyle business, and that one's meant to support you in your lifestyle and where you are now. And then there's like a for-profit, like build the business, sell it for money. And that one runs you. So a lifestyle business, you're going to run it. The sell it for-profit business, it's going to run you for a little while until you can hand it off. And she doesn't downplay either one. They're just different types of ways to go into business. So that was really helpful for me because I was like, okay, I want a lifestyle business. I want something that's going to support me where I am now. But what's been hard in this first year is to remember that since it's a lifestyle business, my profits are not the only marker for success, because that would mean I'm really failing hard right now. So having to go back and just look at what the last year has been for me and remembering why I stepped back from the role I was in and then what my life looks like now. Like I was even sitting on the couch with my husband upstairs earlier this afternoon, just be like, I just really love our life right now. Like I'm happy with it. You're happy. Like there's just lots of sweet moments that we're getting to experience together. And I feel great about it. So yeah, defining success. I'm having to remember that, success for me can be, I have like a pace that I can sustain and I'm not burning out and I'm working the hours that I want to work and I can decide where I want to put my presence and what percentage of my presence exists, online or at home with my kids. And then too, remembering that watching a 2-year-old full time is making me a lot of money because childcare ain't cheap. So even though the IRS can't tax anything I'm making right now, like we are having a bit more income that we can actually mess with because I'm not paying for that right now, and I'm building something on the side at the same time. So all of those are related to my own values too. So just remembering how to take that kind of to the next step and say, I can try to measure my success of my business by what the world standard and values are, or I can say, no, I did this to be in line with my own values, so I'm going to measure it in line with my own values. Challenging, but good.
It's really good. And I think that, we've, if not on the podcast, we've definitely had like personal conversations about success and what success does and doesn't look like for our businesses. And I do think, people have like, Lauren is getting tired of me saying this, but people ask me like, what is it? How has it been running my business? And I'm like, well, it's a roller coaster, like there's some really high highs and there's some very low lows, but like, I was talking with somebody about kind of the past like couple of months, not that long ago. And I was like, but like, it got slow when we needed it to get slow because we had things that we had to focus on outside of the business that needed our attention. And if I had more work, I couldn't be where I needed to be. And so in the moment it was stressful and it felt hard and it felt like I was failing, but then you all of a sudden realize what you're actually present for, you know?
Yeah.
And you realize like, oh, I'm actually not failing here. I'm just focused on something different than what the world tells me I guess I should be focused on, which is my business. But I feel like it was a good conversation for me to be like, oh, there's been a lot of this where it's opportunities and places for me to pull back because I have that flexibility and freedom to be where I need to be. And so that's just a very different mindset. And you told me about that too, like the lifestyle business versus the business that goes and runs you. And it's like, oh yeah, that was another good reminder when you first told me about that of like, we are in the lifestyle business and
businesses with souls.
yeah. And it's okay, you know? So that's really good.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, like for me, I kind of recognize that a lot of this comes out from a place of privilege right now. Like we can still put food on the table. We can still pay our mortgage. We can still do all these things while I can define the success of my own company. So I know that's not the reality for everybody, but that's like the difference. That's why it's a lifestyle business, and you can modify it to accommodate you and like what you need in each of those seasons. So yeah, that has just been an interesting reminder.
And to build on that, like, you know, with also two people working in the household, like there's just times where one of us has to hustle more, you know, like my wife has a steady job that she knows she's going to go to, you know, a certain number of days a week, and she's going to get paid a certain amount of money for that. If for some reason I can't make up whatever slack there is in that moment, like she can pick up another shift. Like there are ways for one of us to be doing something a little extra if we need to. And so I think it is just a matter of like, you gotta be in the season that you're in and in the context that you're in to understand how much work you need to do in that moment, and when you can pull back and when you need to hustle and press hard. So it can go both ways.
Doing those things, you know, without apology, because it's going to be what works for you in this season right now too. So Yeah. Good.
I don't know. I'm still trying to remember what the other one was.
You got to write things down.
I know. I was going I was sitting here before we were going to record, and I was about to write things down. And then that's when my kids came in and my daughter had a bloody nose. And then it was like, oh, we just need to record. So,
oh my goodness,
I'll just do it off the top of my head. And
tangent. And I've dealt with more bloody noses in the last month than I have in all of my parenting. So Caleb ruined a pillow.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know if we told you that.
No.
It was rabbit trail. It was his only COVID symptom. So we all did the nose swab and tested positive. Caleb was fine the whole time. Never had fever. Never had any symptom except for this one massive nosebleed one night. And we had to throw away his pillow.
Wow. Yeah, I did not know it was that intense. It
was pretty intense. And then he got hit in the face, listeners.
Right.
With a baseball at his first baseball practice. He just initiated himself right into baseball with taking one to the face. Practice number one.
And Bonni does not like blood.
I don't. Not at all. And the pillow bloody nose was when Mark was feeling really cruddy with COVID too. So I kind of had to take care of that too. It was just a lot. There's a lot of blood in my life.
That's rough.
Well, sorry for this disgusting rabbit trail.
And now back to our regular scheduled program of reflecting on one year of business. What else do you have, Bonnie? I'll keep thinking while you're talking.
One of mine is that everything is an experiment. And
that's good.
Yeah, everything you do is an experiment. And when it doesn't work, that doesn't mean that you suck and everything's a failure. It just means that it's an experiment and you can make adjustments. And part of my great experiment is learning that I need to break some rules for myself. In my business, all of the marketing geniuses of the internet will tell you need to like show up super niche right away with like your super expertise. And so I tried that. I have tried that for a year with Enneagram, and I personally felt very fragmented and like uneasy, like 9 internal waters awry about it. Yeah. Because I've been like, well, there are other things I want to talk about. There's other things I want to help people with. And I don't want to wait, 3-4 years till I've established myself in the Enneagram world to then throw a loop of, well, I'm going to help with this and this. So this summer, I like pulled back from my social media content and decided I'm just going to break the marketing rules and just show up as my whole self instead of super niche. And that's the next experiment. Yeah.
Which is good.
It may work. It may not.
Yeah. I mean, I think that, I think I'm at the point now where I'm starting to try to niche down, but that's taken some experimentation and also just some doors opening that I like didn't open myself. And I think that, that's the other part of experimentation is like, you are not in full control of what happens to you or your business. And so when a door opens or closes, what do you do with that? And that could be the start of your next experiment. So, for me, that's, online courses and trainings and things like that. And like discovering where does that go and where does that lead me? And, how much do I invest in that? And so I think it really, it's all a big experiment in a lot of ways. So, which I will say, so something that I didn't write down or think of earlier, but I just thought of now is like kind of on this line, also on kind of like the networking line is to like, just find people that you can gain knowledge from all the time. And you have to be willing to like cull it, like you have to be willing to like separate it and sift it and filter it like to your own context and needs. Because like even in like the videographer, Facebook group I'm in, like there's posts all the time about courses and classes and stuff of basically how to get rich quick. And it's like, well, it sounds super tempting and enticing, but I'm not going, like, I'm not clicking on that. But then like, there's other stuff too of, like even some of the things you're talking about of, right now I can focus on one thing, so how do I be present on social media and also be good at what I'm supposed to be good at? And, so there's these things that, they start conversations and you can glean certain things from them, or you can, find things that meet your space for that moment. And then there's stuff that doesn't pertain at all. But I think kind of allowing yourself to dip your toes into those spaces, fairly frequently, just to hear a lot of different perspectives is good. And I know there's in person and like more kind of, I guess, localized versions of that, that aren't on social media, but that's just one on social media that has been helpful, and also like a time suck at times of just like, I didn't need to go here, today. Like that was poor choice. But that has given me at least some level of mentorship, some level of guidance at times when I needed it. So
yeah, I like what you're saying about like making sure that you said call it, I think is what you said. Because social media is easily and readily available and everybody can find a group. I think most professions can find a group where, you can get that kind of advice. And so much of it is couched in this is the way to do it. So what you're saying about making sure you like sift through it for your context is so important, because I think we sometimes will try that, or we'll take the course that will change your life and make you make 6 figures in 3 months, blah, blah, blah. And then it doesn't work for us when we think something's wrong with me. When really, like, that entrepreneur did an experiment and their context, like with their audience, and it worked really well for them. And so they think, let me box this up and sell it for everybody else as the way to do it, when really it was an experiment that worked for them. And so, there are truths to things that we can learn and pull from, but there's also going to be a degree of experimenting and doing all of that without then pulling in the shame of I'm a bad business owner or I'm a failure, or I wasn't cut out for this, or people don't want to buy my product, or all the friends I thought I had who were going to share my posts abandoned me. I must suck. Like, all of that stuff has to go away. And you have to remember, like, this is an experiment. And sometimes experiments fail. I don't think scientists, when experiments fail, I don't think scientists go, I'm bad at science. I think they just say...
Or quit. Yeah.
Test number 432, blah, blah, blah. And they make the notes and they move on.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I bet that's how I imagine scientists.
I don't think you're wrong. No, I think that sounds right. I mean, I
they
think
teach that.
Yeah. And I do. Yeah. I think that's a large part of entrepreneurship is failing and then trying the next facet of that. What is the next move now that isn't working anymore? So, yeah. It's
good.
Yeah.
My son's school theme this year is win or learn, which I also learned is apparently some well-known writers thing. So I got to look up where that's from. But it applies for this. Win or learn. You're going to win the experiment, or you're going to learn something from it. And it's cute that they're doing that with elementary school teacher or kids.
Yeah.
But, maybe we can learn from it too.
Yeah. I like that. I mean, there's been a lot of learning over the past year. So, yeah, I like that a lot.
And some wins.
Good. And some wins. Yeah.
It's been a good year. It's been challenging in some ways, but also, I was serious about what I said to my husband. I'm serious. Like, I'm just happy with our life. It's a good place.
Yeah.
This place we're in right now. So.
Yeah. And I think that's the ultimate goal for Business with Soul, right? Oh man, that rhymed. Is that like a tagline or something?
The ultimate goal for Business with Soul. Well, you're not. We can workshop that, Sean.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
We'll experiment with it.
We'll make that into something, a T-shirt. But it has to have you have to define what the goal is. You have to define
what the goal is first. That was what I was saying.
Yeah.
We can define it later.
Okay. Sounds good. Thanks for letting me.
Hey, happy birthday tomorrow.
Thank you.
Today when people are listening to this, but.
Thank you. We are actually going to have some time, I think, Lauren and I, to just go do something fun together. So.
Kids back in school. It's a beautiful thing.
Kids in school. Grandparents going to watch The Littlest. So
yes,
I think we're going to be able to just do something as adults.
Look at that.
So, sounds fantastic. So, especially after today when I'm home by myself with 3 children. So yeah, it'll be great. Sweet. So thank you. 35. I'm feeling good about 35.
Yeah.
So.
That feels like solidly adult.
Yes, it does. Thanks for saying that I'm old and not.
I didn't say old.
Bonni.
I just said solidly adult.
Yeah, I know. I know what you're trying to say, Bonni. That sounds old.
We are old now. I read this BuzzFeed article because I'm old and millennial. And it was talking about how, I guess, we're showing this is our last rabbit trail. we millennials are starting to show our age with certain tics that the Gen Zers are picking up on.
Okay.
And now I'm noticing it. Before a video starts, like if somebody goes on Instagram Live or starts a story and starts talking, millennials do the millennial pause to make sure it's actually recording.
That's funny. So like,
and Gen Z doesn't do it.
They're just confident. They just know what's happening and they just go.
They hit the button and they think technology is not going to betray them.
Wow.
I know.
That's impressive.
Now you know you can look for the millennial pause and you can think, I'm with you, old soul. You and I watched Homestar Runner back when it was good.
I was going to say, like, we grew up in a time, right? We grew up in a time when there weren't smartphones and you couldn't record video on your phones. So when all of a sudden you could, it's like this newfangled thing. You're like, wait, did it start? Is this thing working?
Sometimes it didn't. That's the truth. It's like sometimes it was old and it's the chance it didn't start. And so you don't want to like spend however much of your life talking and then you never say it is good the second time. So you just pause. It's called wisdom. It's not called being old.
I like that.
Wisdom.
I like that.
Take that. I don't know how many Gen Z people listen to our podcasts.
Probably not a lot. Also, let's just be real. Like, people stick around for this part. So how do we ball this up in a little package and do a podcast like this?
The sign off?
Yeah. Just the random, like all the randomness at the end.
Yeah, this is why you listen to podcasts with good friends, because you never know when they're going to talk about something like bloody noses and the millennial pause.
And Homestar Runner.
Classic.
Oh man! All right. Well,
we will.
Yeah, we'll wrap it up. We'll try to figure out.
Write that down. Millennial pause, Homestar Runner. I'm gonna write it down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Okay. Because you're gonna write our notes that we're gonna upload to Anchor very, very quickly so that this thing comes out tomorrow.
Exactly. You got it.
Got it. All right. Well, everyone, thank you for being with us for 42 minutes. And for listening to us do random things at the end of this podcast. But we hope you learned something about a first year in business.
Yeah. And don't forget, you can find us on the internet all over. Our socials are in the show notes as well as our website. And you can hire us because now we're seasoned year-old businesses ready to serve you.
And that makes all the difference in the world.
It makes all the difference.
Also, feel free to leave us a rating and review so other people can find us. And until next time, we hope you have a good week, and we'll see you later.
Okay, bye.
Bye.